Hey, this is Jedi Steve, and I want to tell you about a protest that I was involved in. But first, I want to tell you about when Occupy Wall Street started, before they had even gotten to San Diego, when it was mainly just in New York. I did a video, and I said to the people on the streets, if the people in the suites come to you, if the president of the company comes to you, what are you going to say to him? Are you going to make demands? Nobody likes demands. And the way that these corporations think, if you just give them a bunch of demands and they're forced to fix those demands, they may fix your demands, but they'll screw up some stuff over here. That's just like sometimes how the corporate mind, it's not everybody, but that's how the corporate mind will think. 7 years after this, I was in a position that I was involved in a protest. And based on social media, somebody had seen that I had posted some videos. I was involved in some videos and I was tagged in some videos. And that was on a Saturday. And then on Monday, I get a nice form letter from one of my friends from high school. This is Hector Lujan. You remember me from Saints, who was in my class and everything. Turns out he was the president of the company that I was protesting. And he wanted me to come down to Mexico. I live in San Diego. So I went down there. I met with 5 executives from the US and 5 executives from Mexico. And mainly I was just listening, knowing where I could play my role, because I know it's not necessarily about information in these companies and in these things that are going on. So one of the things that rang true is the protesters were upset that a 5-year-old, because both of his parents had to work because of working conditions, had to watch his younger child, and the 5-year-old was cooking something at home, and he ended up dying from burning the house down. And the protesters wanted blood. And I drive down with the driver, and he drives me down there for 4, 5, 6 hours down into Mexico from the Tijuana San Diego border. And while I'm down there, I'm just listening.
And maybe we can talk to the workers as they're working and us moving along. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll allow us to do that. I'm not sure. But all I know is that they're going to allow us to go into the ranch. He already has a lineup of different people. The lady from he wants us to meet her. It's somebody that worked on the underground projects to distribute water.
And I was telling the story, and I was letting that story guide me about the 5-year-old. And I was like, how can we minimize this? And I kind of was looking and coming up with solutions, and I'm not going to share every solution that pops into my head. It's a great opportunity, but as Donald Trump says, he's a voice for the Republican Party. We're not a voice for these people. We are going to help these people find their voice, and we're going to take their voice and spread it throughout the world via YouTube and social media. And we need your help. We need you to get involved with this as much. We need you to add to this documentary in the name of the documentary of experiences that you're going through. And we can start with this big boulder that we're going to throw in the Tijuana River, the San Quintin River, if there is one, and it's going to create a ripple effect all over the world so that farm workers are treated fairly. I learned that the company didn't think it was their fault that this kid burned down the house. And I agree with them that it wasn't their fault. But we can take ownership in problems that aren't even our fault. We could take ownership in society. We can take ownership with the things that are going around. You know how I know that? Because I do that. Not always, not 100%. I'm always finding more humility to do better at this. So I decided to take ownership of it. Even though I don't speak Spanish, I'm not from Mexico, And on the first trip, I had met this young lady. Her name was Carly Dallas, and she had sold all of her after she graduated from Pepperdine. She had sold all her stuff, and she had moved down to Mexico. She had been going there since she was in her teens. She and I first time I went down there, we talked for 5 minutes because she was part of a philanthropic program that Barry Mex had went by her school every month for 2 years before they gave one dime, and then they ended up buying a kitchen. And we're talking about they have a lot of money. They have like depending on the part of the year, they have up to like almost 10,000 employees. Carly was aligned with organizations that have money, but she didn't feel she was making an impact. I know that feeling. I spend lots of times spinning my wheels, dealing with personalities, and sometimes I'm getting better about feeling that I'm making an impact, but sometimes I don't feel that I'm making an impact. So I understand that. And I understand that was more in the past for me, so I can have a conversation with people with humility. Then I set up a couple meetings for her, and they didn't seem to work out. And then in 3 months after this conversation, there was another school, an Oasis school in that area. Land was easy to get on there. She was aligned with organizations that were always wanted to give her more money, but she had lots of people that wanted to volunteer and lots of resources. Everything was in alignment, but she was in a place that we all get stuck in limbo. That, do I want to start another school? Am I making an impact? So if you take the Death Star in Star Wars, when I saw Star Wars for the first time in the theater when I was young, I was like, why did they make the Death Star that you just shoot in that area and it blows up? But in order to live, life's about contrast. Living is the contrast of dying, and that vulnerability that Death Star has is the thing that gives it life. So everybody has that vulnerability. So I was able to get to the middle and know with Hector that his company wasn't being affected financially based on the protest. But every time people asked him about his company, he's like, oh, my company's doing good. We're doing sales and everything. People were saying, oh, what's going on with that protest? So it got him from an ego standpoint. So I was able to just sit around him and go to the center of the Death Star, and I was able to see that vulnerability. And then all of a sudden I was seeing that his company, a lot of people didn't want to, there's too much ego going on between the protesters and the company. So what I got in there, and as I started building and I started doing stuff, and I challenged him to keep up with me, even though he was in that community for 15 years, and I only went there in two-day trips with absolutely no money, no budget. Nothing strange. She was just a little shy. That was a normal thing. That wasn't fear. She was just a little shy. We're gonna be fair. Yeah.
All right.
Even though she said that in Spanish, I understood. That.
Somos reporteros y quisiera ver si les pudieran contestar ciertas preguntas. Si está bien, si nos permiten ustedes.
How long have you
No deja
worked
que
here?
trabaje. ¿Cuánto tiempo tienes trabajando aquí?
1 año y medio.
A year and a half.
Yes. And have asked her if she's ever been injured.
¿Te has lastimado en el trabajo?
No.
Never.
No. Have you heard about somebody that's been injured?
¿Alguien más se ha lastimado que tú sepas en el trabajo? Y no necesariamente aquí, estamos hablando en general, en los campos.
Sí.
¿Sí? ¿Qué tipo de accidente fue? Just like sprained ankles.
Yeah. Has she ever heard about any of her coworkers complaining about anything?
Las preguntas son en general, no necesariamente son aquí. Say it again? Sorry.
Have you ever heard of any of your coworkers complaining about anything around here?
¿has oído o te han platicado en el pasado tus compañeros de problemas relacionados con el trabajo? No.
Nice. I want to work here.
He can hire you. What else? Gracias.
Ask her what she's doing right now.
¿Qué es lo que estás haciendo?
Enredando el mecate
¿Y eso para qué?
para enredarlo y hacerlo bola para que se ocupe después.
Oh, just put it away.
Okay. Ask her if she has any children.
¿Tienes hijos? ¿Tienes familia?
Sí.
¿Cuántos?
And she's working Monday on a morning or during when she's working. Who's taking care of her children?
¿Quién te cuida a tus hijos?
Uno se queda en mi casa y la otra en la guardería.
One's in her home, the other one's at a daycare.
At a daycare. And how old's the one that's at home?
¿Cuántos años tiene el que está en la casa?
En 8.
8.
Is she with like a grandmother or alone?
¿Está sola o...?
No, estoy con mi esposo.
¿Cómo?
Con mi esposo.
Oh, with her husband.
Oh, with her husband. Is there ever a time that her husband's working and she's working and the kid's home alone?
Hay tiempo cuando los dos tienen que ir a trabajar y se tiene que quedar la niña sola o niño. Yes.
Okay, so this is the building that burned down when the riots. When was that riot?
This happened. I believe I can't recall exactly the exact date, not at this moment, but it happened
in 2015.
2015. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 2015. Like I think on March.
Okay.
The leaders of the Alianza, the movement, and so they got him on the phone and they told him they're like, hey, you're supposed to be here. He's like, yeah, well, I couldn't make it. And he's like, you know what? You have helicopters and military planes at your disposal. He laid it out the way it was. And he's like, you can be here. You choose not to be here. And so he threatened. He's like, you know what? You don't know who you're messing with. And he kind of threatened him. And well, the following morning, on a Saturday morning, the cops roll up, and we're talking about cops from Mexicali and Ensenada. These are state police. They rolled up on these guys. This is like the first community before we hit San Quintin. And so they started circling in the communities.
How long after the fact of when they shut down the road? When did this happen?
Approximately about 2 months, 2 to 3 months. Because on March 17 is when people started, instead of going to work, they started protesting. That was the beginning of the actual movement.
If you are really congruent with wanting to make this world a better place, let's create some magic. So I'm going to ask the question to you. If you want to make the world a better place and you're in the position and you want to put, like, even if you only have 5 minutes a day, if you want to put that effort into there, let's do it. Peace.